Hi, it's Allison Bales with Energy Vanguard here, and I'm going to talk to you today about my own house. This is my basement. I've got the InSoFast insulation system on my basement walls and floors. I'm not quite done with it yet, but I'm going to talk to you about it today, and I'm going to tell you why I chose this system for my own personal house. But first, before I get into those details, I'll talk a little bit about why we're remodeling our basement to begin with and the kind of stuff that we found in here. Then I'm going to talk about the InSoFast system, how it works, what it is. I'm going to go into some building science issues that you really need to know if you want to remodel a basement, because water can cause big problems, so you got to make sure that you're dealing with water properly. And then I'm going to talk about the different ways that basements get insulated or not sometimes, and the different alternatives out there. And then finally, that will lead right into why I chose InSoFast for insulating my basement walls and floor. So first, let's get into the remodeling thing. We bought this house in 2019, and it had a whole bunch of problems, especially in the basement. We had rot all over the place. We had a cracked basement slab. We had a dead rat that I found on top of one of the ceiling tiles in the basement. We had all kinds of problems in here. The layout was bad, all the finishes and everything were old and outdated, so it needed some serious work. Now here you can see what the basement looked like when we first started with the demolition. We had asbestos abatement done at the same time because we had asbestos tape on the ducts. They found a little bit of asbestos in the drywall joint compound, so we had to take care of that. In this photo, you can see how the walls were done. They had the bare concrete block. They nailed 1x4 furring strips up there. They put a sheet of polyethylene plastic over the furring strips, and then they put the drywall directly on that. No insulation at all. That's what the walls were like before we started. Okay, let's talk about the InSoFast system now. They are panels made of expanded polystyrene foam, and we're using two different sizes in our remodel. On the wall we have 2.5-inch panels, and on the floors and some walls we have 2-inch panels. The foam, expanded polystyrene, sometimes you'll see it abbreviated EPS, has an R value of about 4 per inch. So the 2-inch panel would be about R8 and the 2.5-inch panel R10. So that's pretty good insulation value. And the other thing to know about this stuff, expanded polystyrene is not too bad on the upfront carbon scale. Yes, it's way worse than some products like cellulose or wood fiber, but compared to other materials, it can be really good. For example, closed cell spray foam has about 3 times the upfront carbon as expanded polystyrene. And expanded polystyrene has a similar upfront carbon level as blown fiberglass or batt insulation made of wool. Okay, let's talk about one of the coolest features of these InSoFast panels, and that is the built-in polypropylene stud. This is magic because it allows something to stick without sticking. Now, the way you stick these panels to the wall, generally, there are other ways, and we'll go into that in my video on how to attach them. But the panels, generally, you want to glue to the walls of the floor. You put polyurethane adhesive on there, but here's the thing. Polyurethane adhesive does not stick to polypropylene. You can't do it. That is why they came up with this groove dovetail design on the back. You put the adhesive on that, stick that to the wall, and the adhesive cures in those little grooves, and it can't be pulled out. So it is really stuck to the wall. Even though the adhesive does not adhere to the polypropylene, it is stuck to the wall. You can't pull it off. Here's a screenshot from a video showing how much weight these things can hold, just glued to the wall with one screw through the front face of this. Okay, now the other thing about these is this front side is where you screw the drywall. So the back side with the dovetail, that's your attachment side for the sticking to the walls of the floors. The front side, the big flat face, that's where they screw the drywall into. And great design, helps everything go quickly, and it's all built in. Another really elegant feature of these panels is the grooves that you see on the back of the panels. If you have water coming through the wall, the foundation wall for some reason, Now, ideally, your primary water management, your water control for foundation walls is on the outside, the exterior. But sometimes things happen. If water does come through, these channels can drain the water down. So this becomes an interior drainage plane. If you have an interior perimeter drain, as I do in my basement, that water can go to the interior perimeter drain, get to the sump pump, and be pumped out. Great feature of these panels. Here's another really cool feature of these panels, and that is they come with tongues and grooves. So on these, the tongue and groove sides, they lock together, which helps them be a little bit more airtight, and also a little spray foam in there helps as well. Another thing that goes along with that is on the back side, you have a channel here, a raceway, a chase, where you can run your wiring. You've got vertical chases and you've got horizontal chases, so you can do all your wiring on the back side of these panels, and it's hidden. It's not that hard to do, so great extra feature. So they've thought about everything on these panels. All right, real quickly now, let's talk about building signs. With a basement renovation, you want to be extra careful and make sure that you are controlling the flows of heat, of air, and of moisture. You don't want water coming in here. Water can cause problems in buildings real fast, and in basements it's very common. Insulation is great. We want to have insulated basement walls and floors sometimes, but we also need to control water, we need to control air. Those are even more important than controlling the heat flow. With basements, with above grade walls, with ceilings, everywhere in the building enclosure, we need a good set of control layers that are going to do that job of controlling the flows of heat, air, and moisture. And that's where the InSoFast system comes in. You can do this in other ways too, but the InSoFast system does a great job with controlling all three of these flows. All right, let's talk about the ways that you can deal with basement walls and floors, the building enclosure in the basement. So the first thing, one option is just not to insulate. You could have no insulation on the basement walls, the basement floor. That's what my basement was before I bought the house, and it was not good. We had, as I described earlier, concrete block, furring strips, plastic, and drywall. That was it. It did terrible jobs of controlling heat, air, and moisture. So we don't want to do that. Another way to do it would be to have your foundation walls covered with a fiberglass blanket. I've seen this done a lot, especially in colder climates. They'll put a fiberglass blanket that has a sheet of poly on the outside of it, and you attach that to the foundation walls. That can work in some cases if you're not planning to finish it. It's hard to finish over that blanket, then you would have to build a wall or some kind of way to get that finished. Another way to do it would be what I see all the time, and that is you build a wall inside the foundation wall. You've got your concrete block or your poured concrete foundation wall. You build a 2x4 wall inside that. You leave a little bit of a gap so they're not touching, and then you put fiberglass in that 2x4 wall. You cover it with drywall, and boom, you've got an insulated wall. Now, that also does a pretty poor job of controlling air and moisture flows. Yes, you've got insulation in that wall, but yeah, it's not great at controlling the flows of air and moisture. So I've seen lots of problems with those kind of walls. We don't want to do that. So another way to do it would be to use closed cell spray foam on the wall, like you see in the picture here. The problem with that is, well, there's the environmental problem. Closed cell spray foam has a high embodied carbon, upfront carbon, and it also leaves you still with a wall that needs to be covered some kind of way. You can't leave it exposed most of the time, and you have got to have a way to put drywall over that, so you're going to have to put some kind of structure there. So that's not ideal either, in my opinion. And finally, you can put foam board on the walls. That's what we've done here, but there are other ways of doing it too. You can just take straight foam board, glue it to the wall, or you can mechanically fasten it to the wall. Then you have to find some other way to get the drywall attached to it if you want to finish that space. And the InSoFast system has that all built in, as I've described. So let's get into now the reasons why I chose the InSoFast system. All right, we are now at that part of the video where I give you those reasons that I promised you up front about why I chose the InSoFast system for my basement remodel. So, number one, it solves the building science problems. It controls heat, it controls air, it controls moisture when you do it right. Number two, it's got the built-in attachment system. So I can attach it to the wall easily, I can attach it to the floor easily, I can attach drywall and subflooring to it, no problem. Number three, it's got built-in wiring chases, so I can run my wires on the back side of this. I don't even need conduit, and I can easily cut the holes where the junction boxes go. So it solves the electrical problem. And number 4, it is very strong. It can hold, with one screw into one of these studs, 280 pounds of concrete blocks. And on the floors with the subfloor over it, it can hold a bathtub full of water. Very strong. So it solves all the problems. So that is why I chose the InSoFast system for my basement remodel. If you like this video, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you want to get notified when we come out with a new video, hit the notify button and you'll get the notifications. And we're going to come up with a lot more videos. I've got 2 more planned for the InSoFast system: how to attach these panels to walls and how to attach them to floors, and then the drywall and subflooring issues with those as well. We've got a lot more content coming on all kinds of building science and how to home improvement stuff. So subscribe to our channel and I think you'll be pleased.